Ciao, this is Duff McKagan, and you're on LINEA ROCK.
Hi, Duff. Welcome to LINEA ROCK.
It's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Great that you took the time to talk to me today. And so you're on tour at the moment.
Yes.
And I just was wondering, if touring on your own, is it easier, more relaxed, or even more stressful at times?
I mean, it's kind of both of those things. I have a really good band. It's a band I put together in Seattle. The Lighthouse record I made kind of all on my own. So to get a band together for this was really kind of fun because I knew what players I wanted to pick, and they're exceptional. So that makes things easy. To keep your voice, I got to sing a whole range of songs every night, and we do it kind of back to back to back to back. 20 songs. So just to keep that voice healthy, I started the tour with the flu.
Oh
I got the flu the first day in Dublin. It was like, oh no. But I made it through there. And, I love playing these shows. I think at this point in my solo career, the last two records, especially Tenderness and Lighthouse, I came to Milan with my Tenderness band. And this time around, more people are coming who seem to understand what I'm doing. And so the rooms have been sold out or completely full of people that understand what I'm doing, and it's really quite special. And I'm having a really good time.
So you've done 3, I must say, almost 4 solo records since 1993, believe in me. You've taken your time from one to the other. Have you outlined, the artistic path that you wanted since the beginning, also through this, relaxed approach?
I mean, I think what I'm doing now, I was talking to somebody after the gig. We played last night in Munich, and somebody from the radio station there. And they said, the songs you're playing, they're punk rock songs. They're 3 chords. They're super stripped back and mellow, and like there's a lot of space in the songs, but the message and the chord structure. And I said, I think this is where I've gone since I was 14 playing punk rock in 1979 to now. And this is the version of, punk rock just means telling the truth, truth telling. And that's what I'm doing. And that's what a lot of, people I admire do. From Iggy to Lemmy to, so many great artists that I choose to do it this way. And I think I finally found my comfort zone, the place I ought to be.
And having, such a long, successful career like you did, how much does your approach to music change through the years? And I mean, writing your own stuff, do you put yourself in a different mindset? Spark is different, so to speak. Do you perceive also a sort of bigger responsibility, being a well-known name, going on your own?
Right. That's a great question. I understand. I can't think of all those things when I'm writing a song. I just write a song, I let it come. Whether the song's going to be for me, or maybe this is a Guns riff, this is a Guns thing, this is something else. But I just let the song come first. And then that kind of dictates where I'm going to go. But I think I have been careful of my words since I started writing columns in like 2003 or 4, whenever that was, and then started writing books. And I've really I choose my words carefully, and especially in a song, like every word's got to mean something, and you have to tell a whole story, or I choose to tell a whole story in, 17 lines, and you have to get crafty. And so I can't think about who's, might be judging me or whatever. I don't think of any of that. It's just, I have an idea of something I feel that's important, and I'll try to write a lyric about it, or sometimes just a funny lyric that's still poignant, like God on 10th Street. It's a funny song, but it's poignant.
But what makes it Duff? What's the stamp that you say, yes, this is a Duff song?
I don't know if I think that. Especially lately, because I've been just branching out. This Lighthouse record is like the 10 or 11 songs that I chose to put on the first record. There is another 65 songs.
Wow.
Yeah. So I just, I have my own recording studio. I just kept recording. This is just the first batch, So I found Lighthouse, a song. I'm like, when I recorded that song, like, oh, that's a good first song of a record. Okay. And when I came up to Just Don't Know, the song I did with Cantrell, I was like, that's a great last song of a record. So that became, oh, how do you fill that in and tell a story? And that became Lighthouse, the record. So the next one, I've been branching out to answer your question. I don't know what. It's just got to be honest. I think that's my personal guideline. It's just got to be honest.
Well, 65 songs is a lot of songs.
Yeah.
So about inspiration, are you more an instinctive soul, or you're, hitting your stride and it gets moving slowly and you keep stuff, away, and when it's time to make a new record, you go and pick, some ideas and develop them?
Yeah, I mean, because I don't go in like I'm making a new record now, because I went in and made like 5 records. I just recorded the song, and the songs, like as a writer or anything you do, if you do it a lot, like if you're a songwriter, and it just creates more creativity, begets more creativity. I think anything you work on, you just, I remember when I was writing a lot of columns and writing books, I just kept writing and writing and writing. And I got better and better and better as I wrote. And I looked at old stuff I wrote, and like, oh, geez, I let that out. And, so kind of doing that now with music. Instead of writing books and columns, I'm writing all of these songs.
Now that you have your own studio, if I'm correct, where Lighthouse actually was recorded, with also the collaboration of some old friends, did it feel more like home? And also the title was picked, Lighthouse, for a reason?
Yeah. I mean, my own studio, having that place now, it's 4 minutes from my house. It's in a neighborhood that I grew up in, like in punk rock years and all that. So it's very familiar, and it's a wonderful sounding studio, and everything about it is just a good vibe, and so it's a very cool creative space for me. And Lighthouse was a lyric I came up with during like the first few months when the pandemic hit. And I was watching, it's not about the pandemic at all. I didn't really write any pandemic songs, or whatever that is. But I noticed how my wife, her and I had been through so many things together. Since 1996, we've been together. Having children, putting the kids through school, my bands, Velvet Revolver, and the ups and downs of that band, drama and stuff. And, and then our kids turning into teenagers, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And Guns N' Roses, the whole thing coming back together and all of that. And through it, she's just been Susan and kind of taking care of us, very calm. And so the pandemic hit, and the world is under siege. Everybody's, freaked out around the world. And I'm like, well, now we're going through a pandemic together, a worldwide pandemic. And I looked at her and just how she was handling the house and all of us, she is my lighthouse, and she really is. And every word of that song is geared at her, it's a note of gratitude.
Wow, that's a song of love.
It is, yeah. Yeah.
So you met Prince, you met Paul McCartney, and now Mr. Bob Dylan himself is a self-proclaimed fan of yours. Uh,
Yes.
and not many can say the same thing, you know. You
Yeah.
praised much of Chip Away. So how do you feel about that?
Well, how would you feel about it? You know?
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah. I mean, I feel probably like any other person would feel if Bob Dylan name checked you for something that he liked. You know, he is a Nobel Prize winner. You know, he's Bob Dylan. Like, so it was an article that came out in the Wall Street Journal. So I'm on the West Coast of the United States, right? My time zone's way back there. So I started getting texts from friends in like England, you know, early in the morning, and then the East Coast of the US. And then, I wake up to all these texts from people like Bob Dylan, with links to the article. And even Axel, like 10 in the morning, dude, you see the Bob Dylan thing? So finally I opened it up and I read it, and I was just, I was super overjoyed, overwhelmed, and like, wow, he knows my name, he knows my song. So I feel like anybody else would probably feel. I wrote him
Ever talk to him?
No, I wrote him a handwritten note, and I sent him like the deluxe edition vinyl of Tenderness with a handwritten note, saying thank you, and that's it. I had dinner with Jacob a couple months ago, and we went and saw Pearl Jam. We went and saw Pearl Jam together in Seattle. He was in town, so he talked to me about it. He's like, "Yeah, my dad's really into you, man. Like, it's like, wow, okay."
Maybe he never told his son the same thing. So
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Jacob's pretty cool, so yeah, there's that.
Okay. So you mentioned that picking the right people, the right musicians for your touring band was something very important to you.
Yeah.
And since 1979, the Veins, school days more or less, you've always been in bands. You approached your solo career only after, the big success with the band. And even there, you had the group situation with Loaded. It seems like it's a comfort zone for you having a band. Is it my perception correct?
I mean, that's the whole thing. Like when I was a kid playing in punk bands in Seattle, I played in a lot of bands. I was always looking for the perfect band. And I finally moved to LA, to Hollywood, at 19. And that moment that we were all looking for the perfect band. And there's something about a band where each, there's this group ethic of kicking ass, together. The sum of all of its part are greater than any one, and that happened with Guns N' Roses. And I've been in some really cool bands. Velvet Revolver was a really cool band. Loaded was such a cool band because we were it was like a gang, and it still is it's like a gang. This band actually that I have now, Mike Squires from Loaded, is in the band. But I put together a band, it's my band. It's called Duff McKagan. It's my picked band, but we just all went out and had, we have a day off. We just played 3 in a row, and now we have a day off. We're in Brno, Czech Republic.
Okay.
And we all just walked up to the, you can see the old town from our hotel. So we walked up there and had lunch and walked around and stuff. So they're a great group of guys. And I like having that. Yeah.
Oh. And you play several instruments, but bass, has been your vehicle to big success.
Yeah.
They say that the bassist is like a failed guitarist. How would you dispel this myth? And are you a bassist by choice, vocation, and DNA?
I mean, I remember there was some point, I grew up in a time when I played drums and I played guitar and I played bass. But I grew up in a time when bass players were like the forward thing, like Paul Simonon from The Clash, Lemmy from Motorhead, you know, John Paul Jones from not failed guitar players whatsoever, you know. So I think I heard that later on, like when I was in my 30s. I'm like, these are people who don't know what great bass players do, you know. It's such a noble, cool part of a band to be bass players. I always watch band, like the band's only as good as their bass player. You know, they say that they're only as good as their drummer, but really the bass player is the one that holds that thing together. And so
the glue. It's the glue.
it's the glue. And there's some really, if you come to my gig in Milan,
I will
watch Mike Squires. He's playing bass in this, and watch him play. And you know he's a killer guitar player. So he's not a failed guitar player, but watch him play bass. He's badass. So yeah.
You picked Heroes by David Bowie, a symbolic song that many have covered, actually. So it's a double responsibility indeed. So why that one? And why did you put, you know, You're Crazy in the set list? Why that one from Guns N' Roses?
Well, so Heroes. Why did I choose Heroes? I didn't know so many people had done. I went to dinner with Jacob. He goes, "Yeah, I did a version of Heroes, man." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I think I remember that." I didn't know so many people had done versions of Heroes. I didn't know that. I was just in recording songs of my own, and I was like to Martin, my producer, I'm like, "Let's try. I want to try Heroes." I was singing it at home on my couch. Let's try it, and we did it. And it's really seems to fit in my. I love his lyrics. They're so to that song. They're so amazing about the couple. You know, there was a guy from the studio and an East German girl on a park bench. You know, with the communist, the wall there, and she had to go back to East Germany. He had to go back to London. So this is their last day together, kissing, and David Bowie's watching this. You know, as the guns fire over our heads, you know, we kissed as though nothing would fall. And it's just so fucking, the lyrics are so good. So good. So, and then why am I doing fucking crazy in the set? We were rehearsing last month for this tour, and we kind of start to build up the set, right? Like this Long Feather, and we do and then I have that song, Another Shakedown. We're building it up, and it's like Mike was like, "Should we do some sort of? You did Dead Horse on your Tenderness tour. Do you want to try doing Dead Horse?" And I said, "Well, I don't have Aubrey to sing the high vocal." And he goes, "Man, we did Crazy one time and Loaded. Let's try it." So we did it, and this band is so good. It just sounds, it's so manic. This version of Crazy, and it's just a fun song to play, and it's part of my history. So, and people kind of like. Because my set is so mellow, and then it builds, and then it crescendos at one point at Crazy, and people are like, "What the fuck?" We went from acoustic guitar to this, so it's fun.
Plus, it's exciting because it's a sort of deep cut, you know, from such great records. So, so it's a pleasure. So, very last thing, you were the last person in the Beats to meet Kurt Cobain before his tragic passing. Do you still have mixed emotion about that episode after so many years? I mean, in hindsight, you know, I was thinking, since you also lived those years at full speed, do you look at it now that you're grown, that you're mature, with a different perspective?
Oh my God, that's a whole interview in itself. I don't know if I was the last person to see Kurt, but I was on the plane. You know, we were on the same plane coming from LA up to Seattle. You know, my perspective, I was at my almost end. My pancreas burst 1 month later, to give you an idea of how bad I was at that point. So, a couple lost souls on that plane. You know, for sure. You know, deaths of friends of mine in the 80s and the 90s was There were so many that I didn't get numb to it. I could never get numb to it, but I didn't fall out of my chair anymore. You know, I didn't get so shocked. And that was just sad, sad, and sad. And there's a lot of great people I knew that are gone that should be here, you know. But it gives me gratitude. The people I'm around now that are my age, we've been through it, hardcore. We're here and healthy and living our lives and carrying our message forward. And that's all I can do.
Okay, very last thing. How would you invite us all to the Milan gig on October 16th and also to the rest of the tour, DUFF McKAGAN tour, which is your ultimate invitation for the people to come?
If you want to come down and cleanse yourself, come down and cleanse yourself and gather with like-minded people and celebrate, come to the DUFF McKAGAN show.
Looking forward to it, and thanks so much for this chat, Duff.
Thank you.
Have a nice day. Ciao.
You too. Ciao, ciao.
Grazie.
Yeah, grazie.
Ciao.